Okay, back at it again for part 3 of this timing chain replacement. So basically we left off, we had put the engine on top then center, we got that special tool, we got these two top rods facing up, and we also have properly put this aligned, and we also mark the camshaft. As you can see, the middle of the camshaft, it's right in the middle of the 15th. So now the next step, we're gonna go ahead and properly, now I want to be mindful, if you're at home, you could just use a floor jack to make sure that you properly support this top part of the engine. I'm using this setup just so that way I can kind of show you guys how to maneuver this job, but you don't have to have this set up at home. Again, I have my scissor lift pulling up the way of the vehicle, but I wanted this extra support to kind of show you guys what I'm gonna do, so we can go step by step. But if you're at home, you have to make sure excuse me, that your vehicle is properly set up on jack stands, and with the floor jack you can support using a wood. A 2x4 works, just supporting this engine, where you take out the oil here, so that way when we start the next step, which is the next step, we're going to go ahead and remove the engine mount, so that way that could give us some room to start removing the bolts from the timing cover. And again, we're just going to go ahead and remove this coolant out of the way. Look at part 1 of this video to see how I remove that coolant, and we're just going to go ahead and remove these wires out of the way, and that's going to expose this two 17mm nuts that we're going to remove. And then we're going to have, I believe, these should be 19mm bolts, but I'll double check, one here and one there, and that's going to allow us to remove this engine mount out of the way. But again, very, very important, guys, make sure you have this properly jacked, make sure it's supported. Again, I'm using this 3-in-1 jack stand and a jack to make sure that I have the weight holding on the engine itself, so that way it doesn't fall down. Alright, so let's go ahead and proceed with caution. Again, we're going to go ahead and remove these 17mm nuts, and I'll put the torque specs up here, what they have to be tied. Okay, let's go and do that real quick. Alright, so you see how the engine moved, and again, that's because once you remove these bad boys, just know that the engine, the weight is going to go ahead and go down. Now, the service manual does encourage you to use one of those, I think it's engine support. You put it here, 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 kind of like a cross beam. I do have it, but I didn't want to use it because I want to fully show you how to do this step by step, again using whatever tools you have in your home. But if you do have the opportunity to have one of those engine hoists from the top supports, you could definitely put it, and here are the brackets you could chain those hoists on, so that way you could have that. Again, this is just a way for you to kind of do this at home if you can. Alright, okay, so the next step, once we remove these two 17mm nuts, we're going to go ahead and remove this 17mm bolts, one there and one there. So I'm going to need a 3-inch adapter to get these bad boys out, and I'll put the torque specs up here on what these need to be torqued. Alright, so let me get these out. That's one. That's 2. And again, you see the engine move. Again, it's very important. That's why you have to have this engine properly jacked. Alright, so once you remove these, what I do want you to take note is that these are different size bolts. So the one on the outer of the engine is going to be longer than this bolt. As you can see right there. Let me show you guys. It's not a big of a difference, but you can see how the one in the front of the engine is a little bit smaller. So make sure that you put these correctly. I normally try to put these as I take them out, like so. Alright, and that's going to definitely allow us to basically remove the engine mount slowly out of the way. And this is a good time for you to inspect the engine mount. Oh wow, see that? See how it's already broken? This engine mount shouldn't have this it shouldn't have broken off like this. So this is a good time for us to inspect this, and if this happens to you, go ahead and spend the extra 60-50 bucks to replace it. So that way, and this is what if your engine shakes or a lot when you're on drive reverse, this is probably why, because the engine is moving, and this is moving as well, so it shouldn't do that. So we're gonna go ahead and replace this as well. Customer's not gonna like this because that's an extra expense, but you know, it is what it is. And again, we're holding that that engine with that jack support. So again, it's very important, very crucial that you properly jack that correctly. Okay. All right. So the next step, we're gonna go ahead and start removing more components. The next step. Oh, also this is a good time to inspect your water pump. Okay. So the water pump, it does, I could definitely hear that it's, so we're going to go ahead and remove that as well. But the next step, we're going to go ahead and remove. Alright guys, so the next step, I'm going to go ahead and kind of unmount this AC compressor. Again, it's just being held by this little bolt here. So let me get it out of the way so I can start removing things and show you step by step. Okay, let me just put it out of the way real quick. Alright, so at least that's kind of out of the way. Make sure that the next step, we're going to go ahead and remove this bolt, just because I'm going to remove this crankshaft pulley. So let me go ahead and get this out of the way. Put this back where I got it from. And the next step, I'm going to use a universal pulley holder. If you have one at home, if not, feel free to invest in one of these bad boys. This is a OTC 4754. What I like about this one is that it has several different holders, and the reason why I'm using this is because I'm gonna use this pulley to hold the crankshaft pulley. Let me see if I can get this in nice and tight. And the whole process of this is to hold this pulley. Let me see if I adjust it like so, and it fits in nicely like so. Well, I'll go ahead and ratchet that that 21mm bolt. Again, I'm gonna have the setup right here, and if you're at home, you're gonna hold that down there and you're gonna go ahead and remove that. You can use a breaker bar or a ratchet that you're able to extend, but in my case I do have a luxury of having an impact gun, so I'm gonna go see if this Milwaukee M12 250 foot-pound nut busting torque could remove that. Alright, so let me go ahead and spray a little bit of penetration oil on that bad boy. You know what, let me just do it like this, see without that penetration oil if this works. Give me 1 second. Alright guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can zip that that bolt out again. I'm just making sure I'm holding that pulley like so, and see if I have any luck taking this bad boy out. So no luck removing it. Let me go ahead and put some penetration oil, see if we have any luck. Bear with me here. Alright guys, I'm using some Freon. This is guaranteed to loosen any bolt. I haven't met a bolt that doesn't come in contact with this bad boy and freeze it up. So let me go ahead and let it soak in for about 5-10 minutes, and then we'll try again with that Milwaukee impact, see if we get lucky this time. Okay, alright guys, so it's been about 5 minutes. Let's see if this bad boy could come loose. Again, let me hold on to the pulley holder. Let's see if I can give you guys some more. Bear with me here. Oh, and then I ended up putting the AC compressor a little bit out of the way, so that way it doesn't hang by the brake line there. Hopefully I can get this bad boy, show you guys how to do it. Hold on to this. Alright. Guys, so it seems that the Milwaukee has met its match. 250 foot-pounds of nut busting. Let's see what else I have in my arsenal. Alright guys, so let me see if my Ingersoll Rent W700 1,000 pounds of foot busting nut reverse, see if that helps it out. There we go guys. Hold this, make sure it's nice, doesn't move anywhere. There we go. All right. Now we're talking. Let me get this bad boy out of the way. Remove this. And again, this bolt, this vehicle has about 150-ish thousand miles. Pretty sure this is the first time this bolt has been actually removed, but definitely you can see how the lubrication penetrated all the way through the end. And let's see if we're able to remove this There we go. Oh, guys, I don't know if you guys saw that, but washer fell off. There we go. And again, this washer is gonna go here, but make sure that you invest. This is a diamond washer. Make sure you inspect it. Now the service manual does recommend to replace these bad boys. You can get these at your dealership for about 12-13 bucks a piece, but just make sure that when you put everything together, you don't forget this one. So again, want to be mindful where that goes as well. It goes back here like so. All right, so now that we have that out of the way, I'm gonna go ahead and start removing the camshaft sensor there. This is held on by two 8mm bolts. Let's see if I can get that out of the way. And we're gonna start removing these the timing cover. Just gonna do that real quick. And what I like to do, I want to make sure that I just leave the bolts. And again, you see where we marked that bad boy right in the middle. So we're going to go ahead and put this aside like so. And then guys, we're going to go ahead, basically everything's straightforward. We're going to go ahead and remove all the 8mm bolts around the actual timing cover, and also we're going to go on the top and remove all these timing cover bolts, and also on this side. Alright, so let me go and do that, and then we'll come back. Alright guys, so what I like to do when I start this process, for some reason I always like to start from the bottom up. It's strange, I don't know why. It's just a habit. And I always like to kind of put these bolts kind of like in a pattern I'm taking them out. So for example, this is going to be the bottom row, the top row. It's just a bad habit, but I've always had success when I put everything back together, and that way I'm not forgetting where these bolts go. And I'll definitely go ahead and put the torque specs on these bolts, and they're all, with the exception of this big long one and the one in the middle, basically they're all the same size. So you see, I'm just kind of having my mental picture of how I'm taking these out. So these are the bottom ones, and then as I go up, I'm going to line this up. It's a strange habit, but again, it's worked for me. And I don't want to get ahead of myself, but there is a sequence of how you would definitely want to torque these. So I'll definitely go over that once we get to that, once we cross that bridge together. Alright, so you kind of get the idea, right? Just keep on taking these out, and again, they're basically the same size, with the exception of a few. And I notice it's leaking here from this seal, so I'm going to replace this this seal as well. could tell you this, customer's not gonna be too happy, but might as well just do everything right since we're down here, right? And we have one more that I can see up here, but let me see if I can get a smaller. Millimeter. Alright, that should be it. Up here. There's another one over here on the top. After this. So just go around, guys, and remove this accordingly. And please just remember to make sure you know where these bolts go, so that way when you put everything back, you're not second guessing yourself. Alright, and then once we have those bottom bolts, I think I have one more. Let's see if I can get that. So we have one up here. And there's this top one. I think this is a 12 millimeter that we're gonna go ahead and take out. So let me go ahead and get that there real quick. Alright guys, so we're gonna continue. Now that I remove mostly all of the bottom ones, I'm gonna go ahead and start from the top. So these are all the ones that we're removing. So make sure you take your time when you're moving all these. Also from this side, here, here, here. So according to the service manual, we're also going to go ahead and remove these two as well. 1, 2, 3, and I believe these are 13 millimeter bolts. Yes. Alright, so let me go ahead and finish that up. And mind you, there are a couple of them hidden here. This is another one. So again, just go all around, remove them, and then we'll go to the next step. Alright guys, so to get to these tight bolts that's holding the timing chain cover, you will need kind of like a long 1/4 ratchet, and that's to kind of help you get through these tight spots. So this is one of the bolts by the water pump, and then there's this one also that's hitting right, it's pretty much hitting right in the middle, and that way you don't forget to take those out, because sometimes I have a lot of customers that will try to take these out themselves, and then they think they have all the bolts, and then they try to pull the cover and they end up breaking the timing chain cover. This is very fragile, guys, so just keep in mind when you're doing this job, make sure that under all this gunk of oil, you make sure that there's no other bolts that's preventing that oil timing chain cover from coming out. These are very hidden if you don't know what you're looking for, so just make sure that you take the time, there you go, to get all these out before you even start removing these bolts. And again, just want to show you the extra tip, and I'm also done. I just have to remove these 3 bolts, and then we should be to go. And I'll definitely go ahead and put the torque specs on those bad boys. Let me see if I could remove them right now. I think those are, yeah, 13 millimeter. I strongly encourage to use the 6-point. Don't use the stars, just because sometimes this could get definitely damaged. See if I could break these loose. Alright guys, I'm gonna need a bigger impact gun to get these out of the way. But let me use my two hands. Let me use my two hands to get those out, and then we'll come back. Alright guys, so just on this 2.0, just want to let you guys know that there is a 12 millimeter bolt that you have to remove. It's basically here, and the reason why you have to remove it so that way it can unhinge from here. And also there is a 13 millimeter bolt that you have to also remove so that we can pull out the timing chain cover. And basically that's all the bolts that I see that we're going to remove. Just want to point that out as well. It's a pretty long bolt right here, so just make sure that you kind of keep that in a safe place. And then this one is also a pretty long bolt in here, so I normally like to put those side by side. And also there's this small little bolt here. It's a small one. Normally I'm just going to keep that in here like so that way I don't lose this small one. So again, once you verify that you have all the side bolts out, the last 3 bolts, we're going to go ahead and remove these ones. And again, these are 13 millimeter bolts. Let me go and remove those. Alright guys, so to get this bottom 13 millimeter bolt, I had to use a breaker bar to get it out of the way. Alright guys, so to get these 3, I'm going to use a breaker bar so I can break them loose. And again, these are 13 millimeter bolts, so let's go and do that. Once we remove these, then alright guys, so once you remove these, the good thing about these right here is that they are the same length, so you don't really have to worry about getting them mixed up. Same length bolts when you put them back. So let's go ahead and take these off. Alright, and again, just take the time to fully go over make sure you remove the bolts from the top and the bottom. Go all the way down, and try not to confuse these 8 millimeter bolts that's holding on that water pump. But I'm going to remove that as well, just because I notice it's making some rattling. I can hear the bearings underneath it. But again, just take the time to really make sure you go through everything, make sure none of the bolts are still in there. Once you confirm that, we're gonna go ahead and gingerly start prying out the cover. And you want to do this gingerly, okay, just because see, if you can see here that it's coming off here too. And what I like to use a plastic pry bar, just because it has remember, it has a silicone that was put on by the factory, but make sure that you gingerly pry this out as you go. So let me go and show you how this is done. Alright guys, I almost forgot to tell you, I apologize. I'm not used to working on 2.0 Mazda engines, but for this 2.0 I forgot that there is a 12 millimeter bolt that we have to remove. Basically this is where it is. It's holding on the tensioner here, but the reason why we have to remove it is because see how this bolt is basically holding the timing chain cover. It's basically securing it. So I'm using a 12 millimeter socket with a long ratchet, and I'm getting this 13 millimeter bolt out, so that way we can remove that timing cover. There you go. Almost forgot. And again, it varies from engine to engine, so don't forget to remove this one so that way it could free this cover out. Alright. And again, we're just removing it. You don't have like this. This is where that bolt goes. Just set it aside so that way when we install the new timing cover, we can put that in there, and that should allow us to basically free this up like so. So let me go ahead and start with the plastic pry bar. And again, just be very, very careful, just because these could easily break. Try not to put too much pressure. So let me see if I can get that plastic pry bar, and then we'll continue. Alright guys, so this is the plastic pry bar I was talking about. I'm just inserting it here by the mating surface, so that way I could let me see if I can get a dead blow here. And just gingerly start to pry it like so. So I'm going to do this on every corner, and I'm going to do that at the bottom as well, just because I'm going to show you. See all that silicone that was previously put on there. Just going to go ahead and put these between, sandwich this in like so, and I'm going to use a hammer to stick this pry bar in here. I'm gonna do that real quick. Do that with two hands, and I'll be back. Okay guys, so make sure that when you're about to take this timing cover out, you have a nice big catch pan underneath your vehicle, just because you will lose a lot of oil. See how a lot of oil is coming out. And again, you could allow it to kind of drip so that way you don't make a big mess. So I'm gonna let this drip, and then clean that up, and then I'm gonna continue removing that valve cover out. Kind of get the idea, right? Alright guys, so as you continue to pry this bad boy out, again, be very, very careful guys, because see how it's coming out as you're prying it. Make sure you're very careful, because again, this is very brittle. All I'm doing here, I'm just making sure I'm separating that silicone that's been on that. I'm just making my way up as I go, making sure, you know, these sides are also separated as well. See that? Just take your time. And then we can come up here and we can start gingerly prying it out. I said gingerly, but I guess all those nights working out strengthened my muscles there. And then we're just going to go ahead and slowly remove this out. And I'm just going to go ahead and place it in here like so. And that's going to go ahead and expose the timing chain cover, the timing chain, and what other things we're going to have to remove. This is a good way to kind of inspect how everything's running. Make sure that you clean really good the mating surface. Once we get all the timing chain cover out, make sure it's nice and clean, so that way when we do put the new when we put the timing cover back, when we put a fresh seal of RTV silicone, that could go ahead and stick really well.